It's Friday the 24th of January in the Vendée Globe, the skipper's 75th day at sea, and Jérémie Beyou on Charal has become the fourth finisher in a stormy Les Sables, with Meilhat about to finish in 5th place. We take a look at that finish, which happened just after midnight, so in the dark, and then we hear from Kojiro Shiraishi, who talks about that sense of smell and how his senses work out at sea, and Boris Herrmann talks about how he has to gently take his boat through the Atlantic as he makes his way towards the finish line. We then take a look at the Tracker and Leaderboard and finish up with a clip from Oliver Heer, who talks about how he manages his clothing on board. Jérémie Beyou on Charal crossed the finish line of his 5th Vendée Globe this morning off Les Sables at 00:58 UTC to take 4th place from the fleet of 40 starters. The elapsed time for the 48-year-old skipper was 74 days, 12 hours, 56 minutes and 54 seconds, which was 9 days and 17 hours behind race winner Charlie Dalin on Massif Santé-Provence. While this seems a long time, remember it's just over 9 hours off the previous race record, which is another demonstration of how fast the top three have been in this edition. While he was one of the pre-race favourites, his descent of the Atlantic back in November was his undoing, and he didn't manage to catch back up to the top three through the Indian and Pacific Oceans.
はい、1月の23日ですね。ご覧のように、風が弱めですね。たまに今フローで走ってるんですけども、J2 にしたり、強弱の中でカヤきながら進んでます。まだね、風があるだけね、いいなと思ってます。で、昨日船がね、燃えましたね。ソーラーパネルがね、ショートして、もう本当に火が本当燃えて煙出てましたんで、幸い火災起こさなくてよかったです。で、すごくね、海にいると匂いに敏感になるんですよ。で、海は無臭なんですよ。匂いがしないんですよ。で、そういうとね、なんか皆さん海の匂いすると思うでしょ。あれね、海の匂いじゃなくてね、あれ僕から言わせると逆に島の匂いなんですよ。例えば今この状態で海の匂いがプーンとしたら、浅瀬があるんだと、島が近いなっていう証拠なんですね。あれだから海岸の匂いですね。皆さんが言ってる海の匂いって。だから沖にいるとね、潮の香りがしたらちょっとね危ないんですよ。どっかに浅瀬があるはずです。島があったらね。あとね、たまに生臭い時あるんですよ、海の上で。あれってなるとだいたいクジラの息ですね。クジラとかイルカの息がプーンときて、なんかいるなと。生臭かったらだいたいクジラが潮吹きしてますね。はい。あとね、前ね、焦げ臭いと思って船中探したんですよ。そしたら全然船見つかんないんですよ。で、ちょうどね、南氷洋でオーストラリア沖を走ってたんですね。で、オーストラリアの山火事が何百キロ先の海に、伝わってきたということもありますので、皆さんがね、海の匂いっていうのはあれ別に海の匂いではないんですね。海岸の匂いですね、はっきり言って。ということで、一人で世界一周してるとね、すごく耳も嗅覚もものすごく敏感になります。ただ昔と違うのが目です。昔は沖に出ると目がすごく良くなったんですよ。すごく遠目が見れてね。今はどんどん目が悪くなってる。なぜか、今はコンピューターというのが今のヨットには入りましてですね、一日中気象のモデルみたいなんですね。コンピューターを使って、ヨット走らせてますので、今はもうオフィスワーカーみたいに、ヨットの上でやたらコンピューターを見てると。しかもコンピューター揺れてますからね。ということで今のヨットは沖に出ると目が悪くなるといった感じになっています。はい、もう時代も変わってきましたね。はい、それではチャオ。
It's an exercise of patience, but it's still beautiful, even going at 8-9 knots. We just a little bit on starboard tack, maybe another 10 hours. Then early in the morning we're on port most of the way back home. That's good. We have mellow conditions, 12 to 18 knots of wind, which is good. And the boat is going like this and then setting sideways a little bit each wave. There's not much, doesn't have much grip in the water. There's no foil to give it a direction. A bit long days out here, but holding good. It's not long anymore. See you soon. Talk tomorrow maybe. Bye.
With Jérémie Beyou now finished, the next to cross the line looks like will be Paul Meilhat, and he has 24 nautical miles to go. And then we can see also Nico Lundven just making his way across the Bay of Biscay. They are keeping a more southerly course to stay out of those stronger winds where the waves are actually getting really quite big. And then we can see behind them we have got Thomas Rouillon in 7th place, Justine Metro in 8th, and Sam Goodchild with that repaired mainsail in 9th place. Again, staying very close to that Spanish coastline to stay out of those strongest winds. If we actually just take a look at the waves, we can see if you just go a little bit further offshore, 6.5 metre waves, and they're going to have short wavelengths there as well. And so they're keeping down into the areas where the waves are a little bit less. We then have the group from 10th onwards who have passed the island of Madeira and reaching the latitude of the Azores. And we can see at the moment it's got Benjamin Dutroux in 10th place and Clarice Kramer in 11th. But I would say, looking at the difference in the speeds they've currently got and the wind strength, that Clarice Kramer is actually in 10th place and has overtaken Benjamin Dutroux. And we can see that Sam Davies is just tacking across to the west a bit just to get into those stronger winds, and so a little bit of a change going on there. And Boris Herrmann currently in very light winds, also heading out to the west to get into those stronger winds. A little bit further south we can see the group from 14th onwards led by Roman Atanasio, and he has got a decent lead now over Damien Seguin and Benjamin Ferret, who is the leading daggerboard boat in 16th. We can just see he's in amongst both Damien Seguin and Isabelle Joschke, the really tight group there. We can see Giancarlo Pedote in 18th there, and also that little battle that was going on between Jean Le Cam and Conrad Coleman in 21st and 22nd. We can see Conrad Coleman's come out ahead in that, and there's Jean Le Cam. A few problems, of course, with his J2 in 22nd. Moving to the South Atlantic, we can see in 23rd place Guirec Saudet, who will be the next to cross the equator. And then there's the group that's led by Kojiro Shiraishi, who we heard from earlier, talking about the smells of the sea and his different senses. And then we go a little bit further south in the South Atlantic back to Antoine Cornic, who is just ahead of Oliver Heer, who's in light winds, and we will hear from in a little bit, and also Jinkon Zhu. At the back of the fleet, we now have the entire fleet past Cape Horn and into the Atlantic Ocean. And so passing the Falklands at the moment is Manuel Cousin. And then a little bit further south, we have Fabrice Amadeo. And then Dennis van Weenberg, who is just to the east of Staten Island. The leaderboard at 0600 hours UTC confirms those 4 finishers, with Jérémie Beyou coming in after 74 days, 12 hours, 56 minutes, 54 seconds. When we look from 5th downwards to 10th, the update isn't actually as good as what we see on the tracker, because as boats come into the finish line, it is updated far more often than we see on this leaderboard. The interesting things here are actually where you see Benjamin Dutroux and Clarice Kramer. When we took a look on the tracker, Benjamin Dutroux is, I think, only ahead due to his more eastern position, i.e. is closer to the finish line as the crow flies. Clarisse, I think, is overtaking him right now. And if you look at those instantaneous speeds, 8.48 knots for Benjamin Dutroux and 18.51 for Clarisse Kramer, shows just how much more wind she has there. And then as we scroll down the leaderboard a little bit further, it's very interesting watching Roman Atanasio's course, and he is currently making 20.4 knots, and they are coming in a lot more pressure. Would he be actually able to catch up with Boris Herrmann with the hampers that he has with that broken port foil?
Many people have asked me about how I manage my clothes on the boat, if I do laundry, and how I store all my kit. So I thought today I'll show you how I manage all my clothing on board. My kit is basically separated into 3 different areas. I've got my bag, which contains all my kind of underwear, base layers and mid layers. Then I've got my laundry bag with all the dirty laundry. And I've got all my waterproof layers hung up next to the companionway. And additionally, I have my footwear, some heavy weather boots for when it's cold and wet, and my Crocs for basically, all the time. Crocs are great because they never get too wet and they never start to smell. And if they get wet, they dry very quickly and they're very comfortable. Inside my kit bag, which in itself is a waterproof bag, my team has separated all my clothes into different kind of dry bags, again just to make sure that they stay dry. So now here, for instance, I have a bag with shorts. If I open this bag, I can grab a pair of shorts, and the pair of shorts are again packed in a waterproof bag to make absolutely sure that they stay dry. That's a lesson learned from the Transat Zeesee, where I ended up with a lot of water inside the boat and all my clothes got wet. So now we prevented this from happening again. Once I've worn my kit, I will put them into my laundry bag. It's still a very small and compact bag. Pretty proud of it. After over 10 weeks of sailing, this isn't too bad. I hope that was interesting for you guys. Have a great day, and I'll give you an update again tomorrow. Cheers. Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching today. We'll continue to keep you posted with the latest from the Vendée Globe, so do subscribe to our channel using the button down here, and take a look at sailworld.com and yachtsandyachting.com, where we'll bring you all the latest from the world of sailing. And it's a particularly busy time in the world of the America's Cup at the moment.